Namaskar and welcome. You're watching Midday Prime. In the next 1 hour, we focus on the main deliverables of the India-Bangladesh Virtual Summit, and the other big story on this edition of Midday Prime is going to be the ISRO launch of CMS-01 communication satellite from Sriharikota. Our reporters will be joining you live on the lead stories of the day. Plus, we also get you the latest on the other developing stories, sports, business as well as international. I'm Sakalbad, and first up on Midday Prime, here are the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses India-Bangladesh Virtual Bilateral Summit, pays tribute to all the brave hearts who laid down their lives in the fight of 1971 war, says it's a matter of pride for India to celebrate Vijay Diwas as a mark of victory over anti-liberation forces. Prime Minister Modi says Bangladesh is a major pillar in India's neighbourhood first policy, highlights the Chilahati-Haldibari rail link that improves connectivity between Assam and Bangladesh, hails the satisfying bilateral relationship during the pandemic, says both the countries have reduced hurdles in land border trade. On farmers' protest, Supreme Court says it will look into the manner of protest, says farmers have a right to protest, says it is thinking of an impartial independent committee, emphasizes that parties must talk to each other to achieve purpose of protest. And in order to spread awareness among the farmers, government to distribute booklet named Annadata on Modi government's contribution to farmers' cause. Booklet available in Hindi, Punjabi and English. Another big news, ISRO to launch CMS-01 communications satellite through PSLV C-50. The 52nd mission of the PSLV from Harikota. The 22nd flight of the PSLV in configuration XL is to be launched in the evening. And Covaxin, India's indigenous COVID vaccine, shows encouraging results in the phase 1 human clinical trials. No vaccine-related serious side effects were observed and was well tolerated in all those dose groups, says ICMR. Global corona cases have exceeded 7.44 crore with 16.54 lakh fatalities reported. Global efforts in the race for coronavirus vaccine development. Bank offers $1 billion to help Latin America, Caribbean with COVID-19 vaccination. And in sports, India win the toss, choose to bat first in day and night test with pink ball in Adelaide. India's innings stabilizes after fall of early wickets after a weak start. And let's begin Midday Prime with the big news at the start. Well, this is our top story. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina today held a virtual summit and discussed the entire spectrum of the bilateral relationship, including further strengthening cooperation in the post-COVID era. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Modi stressed on the India's neighbourhood first policy, of which Bangladesh has been a strong pillar. Prime Minister added that both nations had good cooperation amidst COVID pandemic.
बांग्लादेश हमारी नेबरहुड फर्स्ट नीति का एक प्रमुख स्तंभ है। बांग्लादेश के साथ संबंधों में मजबूती और गहराई लाना मेरे लिए पहले दिन से ही विशेष प्राथमिकता रही है। यह बात सही है कि वैश्विक महामारी के कारण यह वर्ष बहुत ही चुनौतीपूर्ण रहा है, लेकिन संतोष का विषय है कि इस कठिन समय में भारत और बांग्लादेश के बीच अच्छा सहयोग रहा। चाहे वो दवाइयां या मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट हो या फिर हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल के साथ काम करना हो, वैक्सीन के क्षेत्र में भी हमारे बीच अच्छा सहयोग चल रहा है। इस सिलसिले में हम आपकी आवश्यकताओं का भी विशेष ध्यान रखेंगे। सार्क फ्रेमवर्क के तहत बांग्लादेश के योगदान के लिए मैं आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
Prime Minister also paid rich tributes to all the brave hearts who laid down their lives in 1971 India-Pakistan war. Remember, Indian troops brought Pakistani troops down to their knees, resulting in a surrender of at least 93,000 Pakistani soldiers and also Pakistan's miserable loss. Prime Minister Modi said it's a matter of great pride for India to celebrate Vijay Diwas as a mark of victory over anti-liberation forces.
विजय दिवस के तुरंत बाद आज की हमारी मुलाकात और अधिक विशेष महत्व रखती है। एंटी लिबरेशन फोर्सेस पर बांग्लादेश की ऐतिहासिक जीत को आपके साथ विजय दिवस के रूप में मनाना हमारे लिए गर्व की बात है। आज जब बांग्लादेश आजादी के 49 वर्ष मना रहा है, मैं दोनों देशों के शहीदों को, जिन्होंने अपने प्राणों की आहुति दी, श्रद्धापूर्वक नमन करता हूं।
And during the summit, Prime Minister Modi and Bangladesh Prime Minister also launched a stamp to commemorate the birth centenary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who led Bangladesh to its independence from Pakistan in 1971.
मुजीब वर्षों के अवसर पर मैं सभी भारतीयों की ओर से आपको बधाई देता हूं। अगले वर्ष बांग्लादेश यात्रा के निमंत्रण के लिए मैं आपका धन्यवाद करता हूं। आपके साथ बंगबंधु को श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करना मेरे लिए गर्व की बात होगी।
The summit also saw the launch of the Bangabandhu Bapu digital exhibition to celebrate the legacy of Mahatma Gandhi and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The exhibition will be available for viewing in New Delhi, in Dhaka, in Kolkata, United Nations and in 18 other locations.
कि बापू और बंगबंधु की प्रदर्शनी हमारे युवाओं को प्रेरणा देगी। इसमें एक विशेष सेक्शन कस्तूरबा गांधी जी और पूजनीय बोंगो माता जी को भी डेडिकेट किया गया है।
And both leaders also jointly inaugurated the Haldibari-Chilahati rail link, which is aimed at fostering people-to-people connectivity on both sides. This rail link is also expected to enhance connectivity and trade between Assam, West Bengal and Bangladesh. Bangladesh PM expressed gratitude to India for the liberation of Bangladesh in 1971 and recalled those days. She personally thanked the Indian Armed Forces.
My gratitude to the Colonel, to the people of India, to the Mukti Bahini. We were free on that day. Only my sister Rihanna, Joy and myself, we are alive today.
Well, 7 agreements were also signed during the virtual summit. That's a quick look at the bilateral documents. 7 of those important agreements signed in various fields between the two state heads, Prime Minister Modi and Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, which includes framework of understanding and cooperation in hydrocarbon sector. We're also talking about agreement on high-impact community development projects, as well as important projects connecting to the rail connectivity between the two nations. Protocol on transboundary elephant conservation, also MOU on supply of equipment and improvement of garbage solid waste disposal ground, and MOU in the field of agriculture as well has also been signed between the two countries in the field of agriculture, as well as MOU between the father of the nation of Bangladesh, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman Memorial Museum in Dhaka, as well as National Museum, New Delhi. And let us quickly go across to my colleague Arun Sharma, who's been tracking this story very, very closely, joining us live on this broadcast. Arun, first of all, just to understand the timings of this, summit is extremely significant. Just a day after when we as a nation commemorated and celebrated Vijay Diwas in Bangladesh, its Independence Day. The kind of importance that India accords to Bangladesh in its neighborhood policy coming post-pandemic times. 7 agreements have been signed. First of all, overview, Arun, as far as the collaborations and convergences in various sectors are concerned between the two countries.
Good afternoon, Sakal. Well, that's right. Now, a day after the Vijay Diwas that was celebrated all across the country in India and, of course, in Bangladesh, today's virtual summit is very much important as far as the bilateral ties are concerned. When we talk about today's virtual summit, the focus was on 3 important aspects. Number 1 was connectivity. Second important aspect was economic ties, as to how can bilateral economic ties be increased. Third aspect was a cultural connect primarily. When we talk about the 7 agreements that were being signed today, this gives a major push to in various other sectors as far as the economic and bilateral ties are concerned. Number 1 is the agriculture, the cooperation in agriculture sector. There are some of the new and prominent sectors like solid waste management that has been included as far as the agreement is concerned. Importantly, the textile sector, and we should not forget this fact that a CEO forum will also be now, will be formed between India and Bangladesh. That means CEOs of various big companies from India and from big companies, prominently in the IT sector from Bangladesh. A CEO forum will be constituted, and that's an important part as far as the business trade ties is concerned. So this means that more and more IT deliverables can be expected between India and Bangladesh when the CEO forum is constituted, and when they discuss and then think and they implement various policy level decisions as far as the B2B transactions and B2B execution is concerned. So that's an important aspect going forward. Environmental part was also included as far as elephant conservation is concerned between India and Bangladesh. That means India will be providing technology in various other sectors like agriculture, textiles, elephant conservation. So in all these areas, India will be providing technology, and of course, an agreement has been signed between both these two countries. It is also important as far as connectivity is concerned. We know this fact that there are close to 6 railway links between India and Bangladesh. Post 1965, most of these railway links were not operational, but out of these 6, only 4 were operational till now. Now, the 5th railway link, now that's a prominent railway connectivity link between India and Bangladesh that will be operational from today, from Chilhati over there. And of course, the important aspect is that it will be connecting India from West Bengal side and Assam side to, of course, Bangladesh. So it's again an important milestone as far as connectivity is concerned. Last but not the least, Sakal, the kind of the Bangabandhu Bapu digital exhibition. It's going to be a very prominent feature and exhibition as far as giving major push to the people-to-people ties, because Bangabandhu is father of nation of Bangladesh, Mahatma Gandhi or Bapu is father of nation in India, and of course their life, what kind of personalities these two leaders were. This will be showcased in Delhi, and this will be culminating in Kolkata in 2022. This will also be showcased, this digital exhibition will also be showcased in the United Nations as well. So this shows that how India is, emphasizing on the fact that the neighborhood first policy, and Bangladesh is that prominent country where the focus is upon as far as neighborhood first policy is concerned, and culturally, bilateral and economic ties, and of course, the connectivity part will get a major push after this virtual summit.
But also on the softer diplomacy side, this celebrating the legacy of the 2 most iconic national figures in India, Bapu, Mahatma Gandhi, and Mujibur Rahman in Bangladesh. Well, that is also, in fact, a big first. We talk about the museum.
Oh, absolutely. The idea is that the youngsters of our country, the youngsters all over, the next generation, do know that who exactly was Mujibur Rahman. They know about the life and the kind of personality Mujibur Rahman was, or the Bangabandhu was, the kind of personality Mahatma Gandhi was. This should be showcased to each and every person, the youngsters, the next generation. So that's the reason why a cooperation has also been formed, an agreement has also been signed as far as the Mujibur Rahman Museum is concerned. On that aspect, a cooperation is also being established. And the Department of Post in India has issued 500,000 stamps as far as Mujibur Rahman is concerned. So yes, the idea is how can the life of these two great personalities, can be taught to the youngsters of our country. And going to other side as well, as far as, the COVID pandemic time, that was also an important aspect that was discussed during the meeting. The idea is, we know this fact that as far as Bangladesh is concerned, it has signed an MOU. The pharma giant of Bangladesh has signed an MOU with Serum Institute of India, whereby Serum Institute will be providing the AstraZeneca vaccine. Crore. So that will be an important aspect as well as far as the COVID-19 fight is concerned.
Right, Arun, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for giving us a quick overview of the important deliverables signed between the two countries. And we're now going to go across to Guwahati, where my colleague Duina is going to give us more updates, particularly the connectivity part of the collaboration today. Remember, Chirahati-Haldibari railway link now, it's official now. In fact, in terms of connectivity, it's a very big move, Duina. How have the people there, in fact, in Northeast really hailed this development, this signing of this project?
Yes, definitely, Shakal. It's a big day for Assam as well as Northeast, because the restoration, the reopening of the Chilahati-Haldibari railway connection, it will definitely boost the trade and commerce between both the countries. And yes, it will strengthen the bond between both the countries, people-to-people contact. And yes, if you talk about people's response, yes, people are appreciating her. They say that it's a boon to the Northeast, and it's also a gift ahead of the new year. And yes, if we talk about the overall development, this connectivity will help to strengthen the strengthen the bond between both the countries economically, socially, as well as culturally. And yes, I have to mention it here about the Siliguri corridor. It will also help in connectivity of the entire Northeast with rest of the mainland India through the Siliguri corridor, which is also called as Chicken Neck. Shakal.
Yes, a bit more about that strategic importance, strategic significance vis-a-vis connectivity. You talk about the Chicken Head corridor. We are here looking at three important regions. We're looking at Bangladesh, Assam, and connecting via West Bengal. The strategic significance of this corridor.
Right, Shakal, because the first of all, I'd like to mention it here is the boost. It will definitely boost the trade and commerce between both the countries. It is one of the most significant thing, because earlier the distance was quite longer. Now both the countries will come much closer. The connectivity will help it will shorten the distance between in Assam and Bangladesh, and the goods can be carried to and from Bangladesh in a short distance, as well as if we talk about the passenger train, it will definitely, first of all, the goods train will start, but later on, after the infrastructure development in both the countries, passenger train will also start. Shakar.
All right, Duina, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us with those updates from Guwahati. Thank you. And now on Midday Prime, it's time to move on to our other developing story. Well, important developing story coming from the top court. The Supreme Court began hearing the petition by farmers. The Chief Justice of India, while hearing farmers' pleas, said that CJI has said that Supreme Court understands the pain of farmers and always sympathizes with them. Only we are talking about the manner of their protest. Attorney General said if farmers' unions are boycotting chalks, then no solution can be found by setting up the committees. Well, that's very important. In fact, farmers have right to protest. Important observation made by the top court today. But the court also observing that they should come up for the discussion as well, thinking of an impartial independent committee. The court is mulling for forming the impartial investigation committee. Parties must talk to each other. Supreme Court has also observed that it will look into the manner of the farmers are holding these protests, but these holding protests are it's a matter of right as well. Hearing on the petition of the farmers' protest in Supreme Court. For that, my colleague Vikas is with us from Top Court to tell us more. Yes, Vikas, please go ahead. Very important and pertinent observations made by the Top Court, especially when the court said that but they must come forward and talk. Indulging in a dialogue to reach an amicable solution is important.
Well, right, Sakal, Supreme Court didn't pass any interim order today. Court was again of the opinion that a formation of a committee will be the right approach to end this deadlock. Today, Supreme Court asked Attorney General whether he can assure that by the time this committee is formed and committee reaches to a conclusion, the implementation of Act will remain in abeyance, or the Act will not be implemented. On that, Attorney General said that he will have to take instructions and then he will apprise the court about whether this kind of condition can be imposed or not. Apart from it, court requested farmers unions to come for a dialogue, to come for a discussion. Court said that yes, we recognize right to peaceful protest as your fundamental right, but what will you achieve sitting on protest alone? The only way to end this deadlock is dialogue, and for that, Supreme Court is seriously thinking over formation of a committee. So the representatives of the farmers union must come forward and join that committee, and then court will allow both sides to come up with a plan that will be amicable to both sides. Today, when the matter came up for hearing, the counsel for petitioners, Harish Salve, alleged that because of this ongoing lockdown, prices of essential commodities are increasing in Delhi NCR, and keeping in the view of the pain of common man, Supreme Court must intervene. But court said that today we are not passing any order, any interim order as of now. So now it is for Attorney General to take instruction on that suggestion, whether the implementation of this act can be put in abeyance for the till the time this committee comes up with a solution.
All right, thank you very much, Vikas, for that quick update. Thank you. Moving on Midday Prime. Well, in an effort to spread awareness among the farmers, government has come out with this booklet titled Annadata on Modi government's contributions to farmers' cause. The booklet is available in Hindi, English and Punjabi. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar has reiterated that the government is committed to the welfare of farmers.
अन्नदाता नाम से जो बुकलेट सरकार के तरफ से हुई है, उसमें गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री रहते प्रधानमंत्री जी ने किसान की दृष्टि कैसे रखी किसान के प्रश्नों पर, और पानी, बीमा और सब में जिस तरह से काम किया, और अभी प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड से लेकर नीम कोटिंग यूरिया से लेकर फसल बीमा योजना से लेकर किसान सम्मान निधि से लेकर एमएसपी में जो कॉस्ट प्लस 50% का ऐतिहासिक फैसला किया, ये सब निर्णय उसमें है। और मुझे विश्वास है ये अभी लोग बहुत ये सरकारी किताब अच्छी उसको लोग मांग रहे हैं, और हम भी सब ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक पहुँचेंगे।
Well, moving on, the Indian Space Research Organisation, or ISRO, will today launch CMS-01 communications satellite from the second launch pad at Satish Dhawan Space Centre at Sriharikota. The 25-hour countdown for the launch began on Wednesday afternoon. The rocket will be launched at around 15:41 hours today. For the PSLV rocket, this would be 52nd flight, and for the National Space Agency ISRO, this would be the 77th launch mission from home. CMS-01 is the 42nd communication satellite of the space agency, and it is envisaged for providing services in extended C-band of the frequency spectrum covering mainland, Andaman and Nicobar as well as Lakshadweep Islands. The satellite will be sole payload on the PSLV C-50 mission and also provide telecommunication services including television, tele-education, telemedicine, disaster management support amongst others. Satellite has an expected mission life of 7 years. As we stay with this graphic information, let me quickly go live to my colleague Philip Matthew, joining us live from Sriharikota. Philip, over to you. Take us through the final countdown, and most importantly, if you could just simplify and break down for our viewers the strategic importance of this satellite in the field of telecommunications.
Well, Sakal, this is essentially a communication satellite, and all arrangements are now in place for the launch of this satellite, which will be the 43rd satellite of its kind to be launched by ISRO. In fact, the countdown has been progressing smoothly since morning. The fuel filling of the two stages, the third, the fourth, and the second stage has been completed, and we are now told that the final checks are being carried out before the launch that's scheduled at 3:41. Which is just over an hour from now. In fact, the final checks have already been are already underway, and they're now going on all aspects of the rocket, including its navigation system as well as its communication and payloads, to ensure that the rocket is in the right shape for takeoff at 3:41. The importance of this satellite, of course, is that it will give a boost to India's communication capabilities. Don't forget that communication has been one of the key objectives of ISRO, providing communication support and communication links all across the country. And this will provide extended C-band coverage, especially in the far-flung areas of the country, like the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Lakshadweep Islands. So these are areas where setting up communication infrastructure is often very difficult and very expensive, and that can be ensured by providing satellite-based communications, and that is where a satellite like this will come in handy. In fact, what's interesting is that this is almost 11 months 11 months ago that a communication satellite of this kind was launched. That was in January this year, and that was GSAT 30, and since then, of course, there's been quite a long gap, quite unusual in fact, but what this will do is this will essentially replace another satellite, GSAT 12, which was launched in 2011. So essentially this is meant to provide uninterrupted communication services in the extended C-band.
Right, we'll leave it there. As of now, of course, we'll be cutting live to those visuals when the satellite launch takes place at around 15:41 hours. As of now, thank you very much, Philip Matthews, for joining us. And now let's move on to the news on the COVID vaccine front. India's indigenous COVID vaccine, Covaxin, is being developed by ICMR in partnership with Bharat Biotech. It has shown encouraging results in the phase 1 human clinical trials. The vaccine showed safety and generated immune response in phase 1 trials. Meanwhile, no vaccine-related serious side effects have been observed so far. ICMR also informs that vaccine can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius and is compatible with National Immunization Plan. The vaccine is undergoing phase 3 clinical human trial involving 26,000 participants. And now it's time to move on to our national crime segment. And now let's move on for all the news related to the COVID-19 pandemic in India. Let's look at these numbers, the latest numbers. And with more than 33,000 recoveries recorded on Wednesday, the total number of recovered patients stands at nearly 94.8 lakh. And with this, the recovery rate currently stands at 95.3%. India's three-pronged strategy of testing, tracing and treating is giving us these good results. Fatality rate has further dropped to 1.4%. Death toll was at 1,44,451. The number of active COVID-19 cases in India is more than 3.2 lakh. It is actually 3.2% of the total cases reported so far. So overall, we see a decline as far as the cases are concerned. COVID-19 active cases are concerned. And with the continuous efforts, effective planning and strategic management, recovery rate in the nation is also witnessing a steady rise. Daily recoveries are outnumbering daily new cases, which is ensuring steep upward trajectory of the recovery rate. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have informed that 18 states and union territories have recovery rate more than the national average. Meanwhile, Indian Council of Medical Research has informed that more than 15.78 crore samples were tested for COVID-19 up to 16th of December in the country. That is yesterday. And of these, more than 11.5 lakh samples were tested yesterday. Well, there's some news coming in from MP. Schools in Madhya Pradesh are all set to reopen for class 10th and class 12th students from 8th of December. State School Education Minister Inder Singh Parmar has said that the decision to reopen schools for classes 10th and 12th has been taken keeping in view the upcoming board examinations. The attendance of students will depend on the consent of the parents or guardians. The consent given by them will be valid for the entire session. However, attendance of the students is not mandatory. Those who wish to study through online mode will be allowed to do so. Activities like prayers, group activities, sports, swimming, etc. will be banned in schools. All COVID-19 norms are in place and will have to be strictly followed as well. Colleges in the state are set to reopen as well in the phased manner from 1st of January 2021. We're talking about Madhya Pradesh. Well, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat has said India's goodwill comes with no strings attached and Nepal is free to act independently in international affairs but must be vigilant and learn from Sri Lanka and other nations which have also signed agreements with other countries in the region. General Bipin Rawat said this while taking part in a virtual webinar in New Delhi.
The canvas and spread of cooperation, friendship and people contact between the two nations of India and Nepal are deep and extensive. But in the present age, Nepal is also opening up to other nations, including China, based on its independent foreign policy. Here I would like to stress on the fact that India's goodwill comes with no strings attached. Nepal is free to exercise its choices in international affairs, but it should stay vigilant and learn maybe some cases from Sri Lanka and other nations which have also signed agreements with other international countries in the region. On the other hand, it is necessary to strengthen the existing relationship further for the peace and prosperity of the people of both countries who are already inseparable in every way.
Union Minister Prakash Javadekar has slammed Congress leader Rahul Gandhi over his walkout from the defence-related parliamentary standing committee and said that first Rahul Gandhi was not present at the meeting and then he will question and insult the constitutional institutions. Prakash Javadekar condemned this stand by Rahul Gandhi.
राहुल गांधी कल रक्षा विषयक स्थायी समिति के बैठक से वॉकआउट कर गए। उनका कहना था कि महत्वपूर्ण विषयों के बदले छोटे छोटे विषय क्यों लिए जा रहे हैं। ये पहले अनुपस्थित रहेंगे, अपना जो एजेंडा चाहते हैं वो बताएंगे नहीं और फिर अचानक 14 में से 2 ही बैठकों में आएंगे और बैठकों में आकर फिर ये कहेंगे कि महत्वपूर्ण विषयों की चर्चा नहीं हो रही है। ये सांसदीय प्रणाली को और संवैधानिक संस्थाओं का अपमान है। ये संवैधानिक संस्थाओं के लिए जिस तरह से उन्होंने काम किया है उसका ये परिचायक है और जब पहले ऑर्डिनेंस फाड़ा था वो भी इसी का उदाहरण एक है और इसलिए हम इस रवैये की भर्त्सना करते हैं और राहुल गांधी को संवैधानिक संस्थाओं का आदर करने सीखना चाहिए, नहीं तो लोकतंत्र में उनकी भूमिका और नगण्य होती जाएगी।
Well, news coming in, BSF has foiled infiltration bid of 2 Pakistani intruders along a Rajdal border outpost in Amritsar sector and they've also seized huge cache of arms and ammunition. 2 Pakistan infiltrators were eliminated by BSF jawans.
16-17 दिसंबर की रात को बीएसएफ के ट्रुप्स ने अमृतसर सेक्टर के 3 सफलतापूर्वक हमने ऑपरेशन किए हैं और तीनों ऑपरेशन में हमें कामयाबी हासिल हुई है। फर्स्ट ऑपरेशन जो बताना चाहूँगा आपको वो बीओपी राजाताल के इलाके में हुआ, जिसमें 2 आर्म्ड इंट्रूडर्स जो कि एक ऑटोमेटिक हथियारों से लैस थे, एक के पास AK-56 राइफल और 61 राउंड और 3 मैगजीन थे, और दूसरे वाले के पास में एक मैग्नम राइफल .223 बोर, एक मैगजीन और 29 राउंड थे।
Union INB Minister Prakash Javadekar in fact addressed National Student Startup Prashansa Awards 2002. He said that event aims to create knowledge-sharing platform for innovations, adding that Atal Tinkering Labs has augmented youngsters-led startups and has been a great success.
अटल टिंकरिंग लैब्स स्कूलों में शुरू हुए। 6ठी से 12वीं तक के छात्र आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस, 3D प्रिंटिंग और ऐसे आधुनिक औजारों से और आधुनिक तकनीक के से काम करने लगते हैं, और इसीलिए यह अटल टिंकरिंग लैब एक बहुत सफल प्रयोग रहा। और अटल टिंकरिंग लैब की ओलंपियाड होती है, वो ओलंपियाड में अनेक नए आइडियाज लेकर छात्र आते हैं। ये इनोवेशन की शुरुआत है।
Union Minister Prakash Javadekar also commented on BJP's performance in the local body polls in Kerala and said that BJP has got over 10% vote continuously in the elections in Kerala. BJP has also got a very good start in Kerala, he added.
4 चुनाव में केरल में लगातार 10% से ज्यादा वोट बीजेपी को मिल रहे हैं। अब हमारा परसेंटेज भी बढ़ रहा है, लोग भी आ रहे हैं और इससे जीत में भी परिवर्तित हो रहा है हमारा वोट। विधानसभा चुनाव में इस बार शानदार प्रदर्शन बीजेपी का रहेगा।
News on weather front. Well, icy winds swept the entire North India, including Delhi NCR, due to continuous snowfall in the mountains. The Met Department has said that the night temperature in North India will fall by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius in the next 2-3 days due to drop in temperature. Dense fog engulfed most parts of North India. Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir have been experiencing snowfall for the past few days. And in Midday Prime, it's time for the news and updates coming in from the world of business. My colleague Ajay is joining us with more developments in the world of business and economy. And Ajay, good afternoon, over to you. So basically, pre-budget consultations and meetings have already kick-started. More on that and much more. Over to you.
Thanks very much. Welcome all to Business Prime. And the Finance Minister is holding the virtual pre-budget meeting with the social sector representatives in North Block right now. Representatives from health, education and rural development are participating and giving their recommendations for the forthcoming budget. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman held pre-budget consultations with captains of financial and capital markets in connection with the forthcoming Union Budget 2021-22 in New Delhi yesterday. Finance Secretary Dr. Ajay Bhushan Pandey, Secretary of Department of Economic Affairs Tarun Bajaj, Chief Economic Advisor K.V. Subramanian and other senior officials were also present in the meeting. Remember, she has already met the captains of India Inc. on the very first day of this series of pre-budget consultations. And we expect the details to come in a while about all the recommendations from various sectors. And the domestic equity market rose over 0.5% and hit fresh record highs on Thursday ahead of the weekly option expiry. Among the headline indices, the S&P BSE Sensex gained 200 points to quote at 46,930 level. The broader Nifty 50 index meanwhile was above 13,700 mark after hitting new highs of 13,724. IndusInd Bank, Reliance Industries, Sun Pharma and Ultra Tech Cement was up 1%. They were the top gainers. The trend was mixed among the Nifty sectoral indices, with Nifty Pharma Index up by 1%, leading the list of the gainers. In broader markets, the S&P BSE Mid Cap Index was flat, while the Small Cap Index gained 0.4%. We are joined by Mr. K.K. Mittal, who is a market expert in this program. Thanks very much, Mittal. First of all, what are the reasons why the Sensex and Nifty are, hitting all-time highs each day, and what's your recommendation for the retail investor at this point in time?
See, first of all, a lot of liquidity is there into the system. A lot of FIIs and FPI money is coming into the system. Then economic growth and market fundamentals are on the recovery post-COVID. So that is another sign of positivity in the economy. Third is that definitely budget preparations are on, and market is looking that a lot of sectors would be looked into, where a lot of investments are coming, especially infrastructure, healthcare, education. So the spending is going to go up. And market is also looking into some stimulus in US. That is another positive factor, whereby the liquidity is expected to improve further.
So Mr. Mittal, the moot point here is that many of the investors must be thinking that they have missed the bus, and these kind of levels will never return in the near future. So what should they do really? What is the option? Should they actually enter into the market at this point in time, or go via mutual fund or SIP route, which is safer than direct exposure to the equities?
So definitely, as far as investor is concerned, he can still enter into the market on selective basis. The only thing is right stock,
okay,
and either through the mutual fund or directly into the market. Still, there are a lot of opportunities available in the market. Say, for example, life insurance companies, NBFCs, still banks. A lot of scope is there, where we may see that the budget is going to respond to the market is going to respond to the budget as well.
Absolutely.
So there are still opportunities.
Okay. So there are opportunities in specific shares and sectors that you are telling us. But finally, what's your view on the gold? Is it going to go up from here, or is it now the correct level, and one can actually enter the bullion market right now?
See, similarly, the situation of gold. Gold, we may see that it is going to cross 50,000 very soon, and silver is going to touch about 68 to 70,000 range.
Okay.
But definitely, if somebody is born to take a view, let him take a view on decline. So whenever there is an opportunity, he should just invest and wait.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mittal, for joining us on the Business Prime. So that's all in the Business Prime for today. For more news and updates, let's go back to Sakal.
Thank you, Ajay, for joining us. Thank you. And on Midday Prime, let's take a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you more news from the Adelaide test and other stories we're tracking for you. Stay with us.
पक्की होगी बुनियादें तो हंसे हिंदुस्तान होगा। पहले करो शुरुआत करो, करो तो पक्की बात करो। पहले करो शुरुआत करो, करो तो पक्की। वंडर सीमेंट, एक परफेक्ट शुरुआत।
ये अच्छे समझ गए सब? गुड, वेरी गुड। एक बार फिर करेंगे। भूकंप आते ही खुली जगह में जाओ, ना जा पाए तो पहले झुको,
सर को ढको, किसी चीज को मजबूती से पकड़ो या किसी कोने में सर ढककर खड़े हो जाओ। आप भी भूकंप से बचना सीखिए। तैयारी में है समझदारी। आपके हित में तत्पर एनडीए में।
Welcome back to Midday Prime, and now let's take a quick look at what's making news across the globe. First up, let's take an update or look on the COVID-19 pandemic from across the world. The numbers, global numbers, as of now, more than 7 crore 45 lakh coronavirus cases have been reported worldwide, with over 16 lakh 55,000 deaths reported. Over 5 crore 23 lakh people have recovered from the virus. The United States continues to remain the worst hit country by the pandemic so far, with the highest number of infections reported. The US has recorded over 1 crore 73 lakh cases of the virus, with the death toll surging past 3 lakh 14,000. Brazil follows US in terms of death toll, with 1 lakh 83,000 deaths reported so far. And French Prime Minister Jean Castex has said that people would start receiving the COVID-19 vaccine developed by Pfizer or BioNTech in the last week of December if EU authorities approve it next week. France has already pre-ordered 200 million doses of COVID vaccines and is hoping to administer COVID vaccines to 1 million people in January and February. Meanwhile, EU official says that EU could give its final approval for Pfizer-BioNTech each COVID-19 vaccine as early as December 23rd. From France, moving on to Germany, where Germany has announced to roll out the BioNTech and Pfizer vaccine from December 27th. The announcement was followed after a meeting between German health minister and health officials from Germany's 16 federal states. The priority will be given to senior citizens in care homes. However, European medicines agencies, which authorities say use of new drugs across the EU, said that it would meet on December 21st to discuss whether to approve the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine or not. Meanwhile, EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says that all 27 member states are expected to begin vaccination programs possibly before Christmas. Well, on Midday Prime, it's time for the stories coming in from the world of sports. And India, Australia are all pitted against each other, and all eyes are all set on that particular match. So Chitra, my colleague, will tell us more and other sports stories. So Chitra, afternoon on Midday Prime.
Thank you, Sakal. And the historic test match is on. India is up against Australia in the historic first ever day-night test between these two teams at the Adelaide Oval. India were batting at 119 for the loss of 3 wickets when last reports came in. India got off to poor start after winning the toss and electing to bat. Prithvi Shaw was bowled by Stark on the second delivery of the innings without opening his account. Mayank Agarwal was also bowled by Cummins after making 17 runs. Cheteshwar Pujara and skipper Virat Kohli then steadied the ship and added 68 runs for third wicket. Pujara fell to Lyon after making 43 runs. And as of now, the captain and the vice-captain are at the crease. Virat Kohli batting at 49 and Ajinkya Rahane batting at 9. The score is 124 for the loss of 3 wickets. And you can also listen to the live commentary of this match by All India Radio, the India-Australia Day 1 play on YouTube channel of Prasar Bharati Sports. On to football now. The Ballon d'Or ceremony might have been cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but the best FIFA award ceremony will be held today, though no in-person attendance has been permitted. Bayern Munich striker Robert Lewandowski is the favourite to be crowned the Player of the Year, though he faces tough competition from Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi for the honour. Ronaldo and Messi have been in the reckoning in every edition of the award since its separation from France football's coveted award, the Ballon d'Or, in 2016. Liverpool returned to the top of the Premier League as Roberto Firmino rose in added time to secure his side a 2-1 win over Tottenham at Anfield. Liverpool went ahead in 26th minute with Mohamed Salah's goal. Spurs gained parity 7 minutes later with Son Heung-min's strike. Firmino's last-minute header broke Tottenham's stubborn resistance and sent Liverpool to the top of the table. Arsenal ended a 3-match losing run in the Premier League despite going down to 10 men with a 1-1 draw against Southampton. Theo Walcott opened the scoring for the in-form Southampton on his return to his former club. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang levelled the score in 52nd minute as Arsenal ended a run of 797 minutes in the Premier League without a goal from open play. However, the Gunners' ill discipline cost them once again as Gabriel was sent off after being booked twice in 4 minutes. And let me give you the match update once again. Virat Kohli has scored a half century. He has reached the 50-run mark at the Adelaide Oval. So good news for Indian cricket fans. The score is 125 for the loss of 3 wickets as of now. So those were our top sports stories. Back to you, Sakal.
Lots for cricket fans back home to rejoice as of now. Thank you so much, Suchitra, for that quick update before we wind up this edition of Midday Prime. It's time to say goodbye, but a very polite reminder, frequent hand washing, masking and of course social distancing is a must to keep yourself safe as well as your loved ones. And thank you very much for your overwhelming support of DD India and DD News' Mask Up India campaign. On that note, thank you for joining us. Namaskar.